Thank you everyone for joining today. Really appreciate, and especially Gagan, thank you for sparing the time to be with us. He's a member, but it's great to now hear from him, and over to Rishi, who is chairing today's meeting, please.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be chairing today's meeting, especially with, having by our side the Vice President of the Indian Olympic Association and, obviously an Olympic medalist in London 2012. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here today, Gagan. And it is an honor that you are a part of Sportscom and, a member of Sportscom since the longest time. Over and above all of this, I mean, Gagan has many accolades for everybody's. I'm sure everybody knows, but I kind of also bring it back together, like, a Padma Shri awardee, a Bharat Khel Ratna awardee back in 2011, 2010, and also runs, a fantastic shooting academy and a foundation which goes by the name of Guns for Glory. And we are obviously starting to see the results of something like that, in the recent past, and especially with the Asian Games. So yeah, I think it will be lovely to hear from Gagan, his experiences as, Vice President of the Indian Olympic Association, and also, living this wonderful journey in the upswing of Indian sport as we speak. And with the stellar Asian Games that we've just concluded, everyone would love to know your experiences, Gagan, as an administrator and also previously as an athlete. So, yeah, over to you for everyone.
Thank you, Rishikesh. First of all, I think it's a proud privilege to be here, and special thanks to Jalad sir for inviting me. And I have been on this audience, and you guys are not new to me. I mean, we've been on and met on various occasions and been on Sportscom meetings as well. So there is a bit of familiarity. At the onset, I would like to tell you that this was my first Asian Games journey as an official. And I had to look at the games from a very different perspective. As a shooter during my professional career, I mean, we only had to look at the target. And having played 4 Asian Games, and for so many years, the focus was only the bullseye. And all that I aimed for was bullseye in those days. I had to narrow down things, simplify, focus on one particular target. And now with this hat on, I think shooting is one part of the bigger picture and the bigger Venn diagram with which we operate. And as Vice President, it's not just about shooting anymore. There are a lot of sports that come under our fold as the Indian Olympic Association, which are in the Asian Games and the Olympic fold. I think at the Asian Games, 655 odd athletes participated, and we came back with 655 different stories. 107 of them are medals, and roughly is about 1/6 of the Indian contingent. And it truly speaks of the ecosystem that we all are a part of, and how the Samaj, Sarkar, and the Vyapar have operated together to vault them to the podiums. And I will talk about the impact and the way forward a little later. But quickly, just wanted to kind of put in a word for the athletes who missed podium finishes. I think, nobody goes there to lose. Everyone wants to win. But at some point of time, not everyone wins. But when being an athlete who's been there and done that, I think, missing medals narrowly, it's a very, it defines, it breaks or makes a career. Because for a lot of sports which are not in the Olympic fold, these were the actual Olympics.
Thanks for them, yes.
And the effort for them to put in was almost equal to the ones who won a medal, and the difference was like very, very narrow. And it's not that they didn't work very hard, they worked very hard, but they missed narrowly. And I think these are the ones that we need to kind of support and take them forward, because these have the passion and the fuel and the fire inside them to kind of perform better in the next games. And in failure, I think we learn some of our biggest and so a lot of them, it was a chance to kind of find out where they stand in terms of the Olympics next year. And like I said, for a lot of them, these were the Olympics. And of course, now coming to the ones that won, I think it was a true testament of how the planning and the execution at a larger level played a big role in translating these fourth, fifth finishes to second, third, and the second, third finishes to first and second.
And second,
So I think an athlete today not just has to understand his or her sport. I think it's these intelligent ones out of them that find a high level of success because they choose their team intelligently. And choosing their team intelligently is almost as important as preparing technically for the games.
yes, correct.
So now, all the more reason to build that ecosystem that we are all a part of, because it definitely translates into success at the highest level. And for me to pick out probably some medals, athletics, Adil sir is also a part of. I think he's a part of Sportscom, I think,
Yeah.
and he considers a lot of us here. I
I think
think
he
that.
had graced the managing committee meeting just before the Asian Games
Mhm.
when we asked him about his preparations for the Asian Games, and there were
Correct.
some amazing insights.
And getting 29 medals is a sign of where the nation stands. And of course, athletics is like the mother of all sports. And the signs are very encouraging. Of course, we talk about shooting, which had 22 medals. Has also been a very big deal in the field from past experiences. And I'm not just talking about. I mean, if you talk about one interesting story, I think uh, shooting was a sport where a fish vendor's daughter was sharing the dressing room with the princess.
Wow.
Where else would you actually find that level of social inclusion
Wow.
in sport except sport?
Except
So that is what was very, very interesting in these games. And to me, I think the biggest takeaway from these games that we never focused on lesser known sports, which swung a surprise in these games. So, for example, non-traditional sports like dressage or even wushu in Sanda, golf or rowing. I think this speaks high volumes of how broad basing of Indian sports has happened over a period of time. And on the other hand, men and women won almost equal number of medals.
equal number of medals, yes.
So, it's a big, big marker for us when we move forward towards Paris. Yeah, of
And
course.
I remember one of the conversations that I was a part of in some of the forums where, Sony was deciding this campaign of Is Bar 100 Par. But it was so well thought through. Everything was calculated. All of that data was aggregated. And it was not like, just a campaign, but it actually made it come together. And that speaks volumes of the kind of preparation that we went through as an Indian ecosystem as well. So
Correct. So we were a part of Mission Olympic Committee, and the estimate was about 95 medals.
yeah,
So target always has to be set high.
correct.
So I think that is how the whole thing amalgamated and said, I think 100 will be a good number to kind of
Yeah,
target. And it's good that we crossed 100 and we are on 107. In fact, one part that IO has also played is since Inox is their partner, Inox is, I think, on the 3rd of November and the month of November, they are going to base all their tickets for 107 rupees for everyone in the country.
wow.
Or to celebrate the medals I mean, celebrate 107 medals of Asian Games. And all athletes and their families who won medals can watch movies free of cost
Wow.
in the month. So that's a very interesting step that we took with our sponsor in Anox as IOA. And like I said, I mean, we weren't expecting some medals, but we got some, like in squash, for example. Or I mean, Neeraj, we were expecting a medal, we got it. So it was very heartening to even see Neeraj Chopra and Jena's rivalry together on the field. So from that perspective, I think it was great. From the perspective of organization, I mean, that city was unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure most of us haven't heard. I mean, I never heard the word of. We had heard Guangzhou, but we never heard Hangzhou. And the airport itself was Mumbai and Delhi combined together. I mean, after you land, it took 35 minutes to just reach the gate. So that huge, and the city was, Yash was there. He would agree with me. That was uncomparable
Yes, sir.
I mean, any European city. So from the perspective of the conduct of the games, I think it was world class. I mean, very, very high standards were set. And from the games village to from the time you land to the checking process into the village to the transportation system that was there around for different venues to conduct of the games, I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. And I think they bettered what they did during the Olympic Games in Beijing. And China, I think, has set a very, very high benchmark for the world to match in these games. And from time to time, I mean, the processes and everything that they set up was like, it was like a well-oiled racing car that was functioning. I mean, we never saw them going out of place anywhere or running helter-skelter in the opening ceremony. You couldn't see people in panic or in any competition. So it was all very smooth, as if it was, clockwork, and they've rehearsed it for, we don't know, I mean, how many hundred times. And there was no panic situation created last minute. So that shows and speaks volumes of how they have been trained and implemented the whole games. My brief as a sports administrator, from being a sports person, I would say I realized that the ecosystem has become much wider and grown bigger. And this is no time to stop and rest on our laurels. I feel that we must unite our efforts and energies and be one in the interest of sports development in our country. And I urge everyone that it's time to share our expertise with one another on a common platform such as Sportscom, so that we can build a great ecosystem from a good one. And I would say once a sports person is always a sports person at heart. But I feel that every year so many of them exit the shooting range, the track, the mat, the ring, and the field. And it's now time that we understand, or we kind of start thinking about how well, as an ecosystem, we are able to integrate their knowledge that is exiting out of the field back into the ecosystem to make it, I think, more robust and bigger. I think we all should put our heads together and hearts together and think about this and kind of give them a moonshot. So, that's it. And thank you so much.
Right. One of the things that we are trying to do as Sportscom is also, to try and bring this ecosystem together on this platform. Administrators, sports persons, medium and small businesses, all of them play such an important and integral role. For us as Sportscom, we are always constantly looking to be able to galvanize this ecosystem below. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anyone had any questions or anything for Gagan? It'd be lovely for everyone to kind of, yeah.
Interaction के sake के लिए तो पूछना ही पड़ेगा.
Hi Gagan, Hakeem here.
Hi Hakeem, how are you?
Good. Congratulations. I think it was quite an amazing Asian Games. I really like the way I think today the whole administration has transformed, starting at the IOA at some point, to, like you pointed out, with athletics, with Adil there. The whole momentum has started changing quite a bit with a whole different level of positive anticipation. So for me, honestly, when you were talking about Hangzhou, I had the opportunity to go there in 2018 when the World Short Course Championships in swimming happened in Hangzhou. It actually happened in the tennis stadium, on the tennis court, in winter, where they had the retractable roof shutting in. While it was snowing outside, you had the swimming competition happening in. And so for me, while I'm celebrating the 107, the two questions that pop in my head are China at 200 gold medals, India at 28 gold medals. And if I looked at one sport where China won 28 gold medals, it was in swimming. Only in the pool, China won 28 gold medals. And it's it's a challenge for me, and I'm trying to see how we get sport to develop the sport of swimming and really add to the medal table. To add to shooting and add to athletics. So I think any inputs, Gagan, that you've seen, experienced, you're in the thick of things that you would like to maybe share or throw my way that we can further, increase the speed.
So I can speak for 4 days on this topic. So
I'll catch you offline, Gagan. I'll catch you offline on that.
so let's not get into that.
Yeah.
And earlier, when I used to attend Sportscom meetings as an athlete, I used to like these questions being asked at administrators, and now, you're asking me. So I feel I'm at the receiving end of such questions. But I think with great powers come great responsibility. And to answer those questions, I think our Honorable Prime Minister also said that, if we are achieving something like this, the direction is right. And it's always good to keep getting a rain check on that pathway that you set out for. But ultimately, we are at the right direction. Now, how fast do you want to go and how well do you want to travel is something that, elements in that direction will decide. And there are several factors that go into place to kind of achieve that target that we're talking about. But at least there's a quantum shift in terms of the administration, and there was a large gap between athletes and administrators. And earlier, the administrators were the centerpiece, and the athletes revolved around them. And something that's changed in the ecosystem now is that the athlete is at the centerpiece, and the administrators are the planets around the sun. So that's been a big change. And with any big quantum change, it takes time to kind of catch up speed and pick up momentum. But I think we all are in our own field trying to push. Like, for example, Udit runs a great university, and also doing yoga now. So a lot of these little pieces in the jigsaw puzzle have to come in, and then the puzzle keeps getting bigger and bigger that we need to keep sort out. But these are elements that, and we need the right people with the right, with having their heart at the right place. And I think that's what the strength of Sportscom is as well, that we are people with the heart, with sports in its core. So I think the journey is there and it's set. Now we just have to kind of build momentum and take off.
Thanks.
Gokul Bhai had a question. You're on mute, Gokul.
No, Rishi. No.
Okay, I thought you raised your hand.
No.
तो सुपर बहुत फॉर्मल हो गया यार, थोड़ा इनफॉर्मल कर दो.
I mean,
Gagan,
Yeah.
what is the IOA's, I would say, thought process on e-gaming?
So at the moment, frankly speaking, IOA has been burdened with its earlier backlog. and a lot of pending issues that were put on us by the earlier regime. But we're just trying to kind of figure out our way, and then suddenly, the wrestling matter happened, and we were caught by surprise, and then suddenly the Asian Games came in. So we are running in fast forward mode, even in terms of national games happening right now. So frankly, we haven't been able to get our head around to some exciting work that we need to do. But I think on 10th December, it will almost be 1 year to the iOS formation. And with these pending issues that have been pulling us behind, I think as soon as we get rid of all of these, I think they'll focus on a bit of some good quality developmental work in terms of also, there is a committee in IOA for promotion of games and sports, and I think new games are also being thought of to kind of bring them into the fold. From esports perspective, yes, IOA has an affiliated member in the SFI, and it. I mean, if you see Hangzhou, they built a world-class infrastructure. I mean, I don't know if you've seen. I think it's the best esports. I mean, it looked like a 10x KBC studio if you would want to compare it. So fantastic buzz and enthusiasm in terms of the interest in the sport in the country. But nothing concrete has been formed as such, and no concrete discussions have happened in IOA regarding that. But like I said, we are going to kind of set things in motion very shortly in a positive.
The reason I asked is we host a lot of events at our facility in Ahmedabad, and gaming has become a big, catch across India, and we're also getting some of these things. And some of these people have told me that now Saudi Arabia has put their hand up for the e-gaming World Cup. So, so if you don't even have a proper roadmap for a federation or something, then how can we actually look at how India can prosper and contribute over there, and then have that as part of our government ecosystem, because then kids get jobs and so on and so forth. So I was wanting to kind of suggest that if we can request IOA and the government to fast track some of these new sports, both new age as well as, I would say, the Indian sports which are there. Like yoga has been given a lot of attention from the government and also from the IOA. So we have less to really worry about. But when it comes to, and of course, the Honorable Prime Minister is leading the way of yoga globally. But these other medal opportunities where almost everyone from a rickshaw driver to a a vegetable vendor has a smartphone, we should not lose out on those kind of opportunities as well. So thank you for your comments on that.
No, completely understand the potential of it, and I have been keeping a track in this space. But like I said, there are other priorities of IOA at this point of time to kind of allow IOA to function very freely going forward. So once that happens, I think we'll be full speed ahead in developing new sports and games.
Mr. Vipin Vij has raised his hand. He had a question maybe.
Hi Gagan, how are you?
Good, Vipinji, how are you?
I'm so good. Congratulations. Shooting has won 22 medals.
To all of
And
us.
कैसे हैं आप?
Bas buddy.
So, Gagan, I had joined Sports Sector Skill Council SPFL around 7 years ago. So we were involved in a lot of sports and a lot of trainings and a lot of trainings for the coaches and everything. So as you remember, in NRI, we used to conduct that course. Sportscraft used to do that course, which started the base for around 190 people to start coaching in India. So how do you see that if we can ask NRI and people, influential people like you, to start their courses with Sports Sector Skill Council. We have bid to a lot of people around the country who are not only in shooting sports but other sports also, and a lot of people would be interested in coaching in shooting sports also. So how do you see that thing? If we can raise this with Rajiv ji and now Mr. New President, Mr. Khadi, and everybody, do you think it has a future if we connect and start these courses for coaching and other things in India?
So I don't know if you were there when I was giving my opening statement. I mentioned towards the end that we have to look at the whole ecosystem, because this is a problem that we will be hit with very soon, with the kind of interest and influx of athletes going into the system. They will also be coming out of the system equally fast, and we need to cater to them. And of course, skill development will be a core program of catering to life after sport as an athlete. And such programs not only should be in shooting but also in other sports. And I think, you know, Transstadia has such programs, if I'm not wrong with it, and they also have a reservation for athletes who you know have played at a certain level and then want to give back to the sport and upgrade their knowledge. I think the system has started now. I mean, I think Transstadia is one, and there are many other people in this space. So whether it's the skill council or whether it's a private university or an academy or an institution, I think these programs are very important. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, there's a program called Har Sport Ke Champion, which does
I was talking about the ISSF courses, Gagan, which we used to conduct.
Correct. I don't want to get into the specifics because it is very shooting specific. But I
Yeah.
said any such courses that increases the skill level of an athlete are definitely important.
And I know you've been in one of the most respectable players in shooting, and now you're the administrator also. So though आपने दो caps पहनी है, so let's connect and let's talk to the government, and if we can, because you have to understand these courses have a very unique feature called RPL, recognition of prior learning. And this is, Gagan, which can change the face of shooting, because people who are already into the sport and are not certified under any by any agency. So if you take the initiative, and we can always support you through the skill council, we have hundreds and thousands of people who have played at smaller levels also, maybe state level, zone level. So these courses can really change the fate of the shooting in India, and 22 medals can be converted into a lot more medals, and 107 can be converted into a lot more.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
Yeah.
But the problem statement is not coaching them or skilling them. The problem statement is the acceptability of various agencies to have that point system necessary for induction. So, you know, unless agencies or unless bodies or unless people giving them employment follow that, the course is of no value. So that is the course.
These courses have to be certified by the federation, by the athletes. I'm asking you this because these courses can only be made a proper national course after the intervention and the support of a lot of athletes and federations.
I understand. You're talking about the course itself, but if I'm an academy owner and I do not recognize your certificate and I'm employing somebody who doesn't have the certificate, then the certificate holds no value, because someone who's not done that course will also enroll or get a job. So it's more important to ensure that that minimum level entry barrier is there with whatever criteria. Then only the course will be of any value.
आपको याद होगा जब हम कोर्स करते थे तो उसमें 3 साल नेशनल खेला होना जरूरी होता था, and there were a lot of things which were in pre-loaded to make a person to be a coach. So just a suggestion, nothing, don't take it seriously.
Happy to take this forward with you offline, not a problem at all.
Yeah, and congratulations to you, and let's catch up after this meeting and see how we can take it more. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you so much.
No problem.
sure. I mean,
Gagan, a lot of questions are obviously coming up in my mind, but I will not take everyone's collective time. But one of these days we should catch up and
Just fly down to Goa. I have ample time here.
I'm there between the 5th and 9th because my
I'll see you there.
Goa.
my sport is there on that time. So वहाँ पे आना तो पड़ेगा तो
I'm here. We'll catch up.
हाँ ठीक है.
So look forward
I-
to meeting any one of you. I mean, you're most welcome. Everyone's welcome to come visit the games. I think they done a fantastic opening ceremony yesterday. And what I've heard and what I've seen, I think on ground, the FOPs or the overlays have been really worked hard upon. And IOA has conducted their own national games after 7 years.
That was my question, in fact, because I'm a part of it and doing the
Correct.
games.
Correct. So,
Last year, what we saw in Gujarat, right? I had a very technical question here. I don't know if it's the right forum, but we saw that the athletes were nominated through the state governments in Gujarat.
correct.
Whereas this is again back to the NSFs now nominating the athletes here.
No,
Which
so let's not talk about the Gujarat games because the format was completely different.
correct.
Yeah, and there were forces at play which were not comprehensible by a lot of people. So let's not get into the Gujarat games. As far as the national games are concerned, we tried to follow a hybrid model where we, in a way, involved the SOAs as well, which is the State Olympic Associations, and also gave legitimate importance to the NSFs because NSFs are the nodal body of controlling any sport in the country.
Correct.
So while the state Olympic associations are also important, we kind of try to have a hybrid model. Of course, this is something that will keep evolving in the national games, but from the perspective of the IAA, I think we are very determined to finish the backlog and conduct all national games in a very sequential order. While we are debating whether we should conduct one every year or every 2 years and finish the backlog and then go back, either we do one every year depending on which state is ready, or we because it's very important for the ecosystem to jumpstart or kickstart,
Yes.
because if you have the biggest sporting event after 2 or 3 years gap or 4 years gap, the entire system sits.
Goes down. Correct.
And Neeraj ji will also agree in terms of from the business perspective, also things kind of settle down. So when the national games happen, it builds momentum.
Correct.
It builds momentum in the whole ecosystem. So our goal now is to kind of conduct these national games finish, because I think after this we have Uttarakhand, then we have Meghalaya ready, or we have an Assam ready. So we have 2 or 3 states which are ready to conduct. The call, of course, will be taken by Madam President on whether we do it every 2 years or whether we do it one year each, and then once the backlog is finished, then kind of conducted. And so that's a call that will be taken, but we're trying to kind of jumpstart the system, which is kind of stopped, and or I would say trying to start an engine, do a cold start. So
Yeah.
everything will not be perfect, but we try to do whatever we could in these national games, and this will also set a benchmark. There have been games manuals which haven't been updated for many years. Standards have changed. Facilities need to be upgraded. So all these things are obviously there. So they are work in progress. They will happen over a period of time. But like I said, once the ball is started rolling now, then
Yeah.
another momentum.
It's becoming slowly becoming a well-oiled machine. At some stage, it will become, but
Has
it's
to
getting
become.
there.
Correct.
Yeah. Super.
Super. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Just a small hi,
Anji.
I have a small suggestion that whichever state is given this opportunity to hold these national games, one, it should be seen they're adequately, they have the more or less the infrastructure in place, or they're adequately funded also, and they're sorted with their management. So last minute things are there. So I mean, we are also one of the sponsors there for equipments, and but just giving a month and getting down to everything was, it's little tough. So if that can be planned a little better, and although they had what 5-6 years now to plan and to make everything, and they have a very good place. Goa is fantastic for even the tourists to come, and they could have really taken this opportunity to invite over and have it somewhere in the non-season where a lot of people can actually make it to that.
Correct.
That makes
Correct.
that'll
No,
be better.
thank you for the suggestion. I think it's a very valid point and it will be considered going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you, Rishikesh. Thanks, Hakim.
Thank you, Gagan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gagan.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks, Gagan.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.